The kitchen is quiet, the coffee is still warm, morning light slips through the window while a man in his late 60s stands completely still. Holding his car keys in one hand, he stares at them for a moment, then another, because suddenly he cannot remember why he walked into the room in the first place. Across town, a woman is speaking on the phone with her daughter. She's smiling, telling a story she has told many times before. Then, in the middle of the sentence, she stops, a simple name. Someone she has known for years. Gone. For a few uncomfortable seconds, her mind feels blank. Now here's the unsettling part. What if the real danger to your memory doesn't feel dangerous at all? What if your brain has been sending quiet warnings for years, and they were easy to dismiss because they seemed so normal? Most people believe serious memory problems appear suddenly. One day everything feels fine, and the next day something is wrong, but that's often not how it begins. In many cases, the earliest changes happen slowly, quietly, hidden inside small daily habits that almost nobody pays attention to. And one of those habits is so common, millions of adults over 60 do it every single morning without realizing what it may be doing to the brain over time. Now, after years of listening to older adults describe memory fog, forgotten conversations, mental fatigue, and that strange feeling of not feeling as sharp, I've noticed something important. The people struggling the most often shared the same hidden patterns long before the bigger symptoms appeared. But before we uncover the deeper connection between all 7 habits, there's something most people completely misunderstand about memory after 60, and the first habit may seem harmless. Until you see what it quietly does inside the brain, this is where most people get it wrong. Many adults over 60 believe the safest thing for the brain is keeping life simple and predictable. Same breakfast, same chair, same television programs, same daily routine week after week, and at first that sounds reasonable. After all, routine feels comfortable, familiar, safe. But here's what many people never realize. The brain needs gentle challenges to stay active, not stress, not pressure, just small moments of newness. Think of your brain like a road system. The roads you use often stay open and strong, but the roads you stop using slowly begin to crack and fade away. And sometimes mental autopilot quietly begins when life becomes too repetitive. I've seen older adults spend hours watching television, avoiding new tasks because they feel frustrating or repeating the exact same schedule every single day. Over time, the mind can become less alert, less flexible. Names take longer to appear. Thoughts feel slower. Now, this does not mean you need to suddenly learn calculus or master technology overnight. But one small new thing each day may help wake the brain back up. Take a different walking route, try a new recipe, learn one feature on your phone you've never used before. Small changes matter more than people think, but the next habit is far more dangerous because many people believe it's completely normal. The next sign is something you may have ignored for years: poor sleep. Many older adults wake several times a night and simply tell themselves, well, that's just part of getting older. But sleep may play a much bigger role in memory than most people realize. Let me explain. Imagine a city where garbage trucks suddenly stop working for weeks. Slowly, clutter begins piling up everywhere. Streets become harder to move through. Things stop running smoothly. Your brain may work in a similar way during deep sleep. That's because restful sleep is believed to help the brain reset, organize information, and clear mental waste built up during the day. And when sleep becomes broken night after night, many people begin noticing brain fog, forgetfulness, and mental exhaustion during the daytime. Have you noticed moments where your thinking feels slower after a poor night's sleep? That may not be something to ignore. A simple bedtime rhythm can help more than people expect. Going to bed at the same time, reducing bright screens late at night, creating a calm evening routine before sleep. And what comes next may surprise you. Because the next warning sign doesn't actually begin in the brain at all. Here's what I've seen again and again. Many people believe memory problems begin only inside the brain. They think forgetfulness is purely mental, but sometimes the real issue starts somewhere much quieter, in the body itself. Take movement, for example. Your brain works a little like a busy city that depends on delivery trucks every single day. Those trucks carry oxygen, nutrients, and blood flow where they need to go. But when movement slows down too much, the delivery system may slow down too, and over time, some people begin noticing subtle changes. Names take longer to remember. Thoughts feel heavier in the afternoon. Simple conversations become harder to follow when tired. Have you noticed moments where your mind feels foggy after sitting too long? That may not be random. I've met older adults who spent most of the day in a chair without realizing how strongly the brain and body work together. Less movement can sometimes mean less stimulation, slower circulation, and reduced mental sharpness. The good news is that small changes matter. Even walking for 5 minutes every hour may help more than people expect. Gentle movement after meals, stretching while watching television, short walks outside. Tiny actions can wake the body up again. But now the next habit is where things quietly begin to accelerate. This habit can feel completely normal. Especially after retirement, life changes. Children move away, friends become busy. Sometimes a spouse passes on, phone calls become less frequent. The house becomes quieter than it used to be. And slowly, without realizing it, many people begin spending more and more time alone. But here's something important most people never hear enough about. Conversation may act like exercise for the brain. Words are like sparks that keep mental circuits active. Every discussion, every laugh, every story forces the brain to react, recall, organize, and connect. Without those moments, the mind can slowly become less engaged, and loneliness does not always feel dramatic. Sometimes it feels calm, routine, silent. That's what makes it easy to miss. And if any part of this feels familiar, comment yes below. Sometimes simply realizing you're not alone is the first step. Try one small thing this week: a short phone call, a conversation with a neighbor, a local group. Even 5 meaningful minutes can matter. But we still haven't uncovered the deeper reason these habits affect memory so much. This might surprise you. Some of the biggest threats to memory after 60 may not begin with dramatic symptoms at all. Sometimes they begin at the dinner table. Many processed foods can quietly affect mental clarity and energy more than people realize. Sugary snacks, heavy fast foods, and highly processed meals may create fast bursts of energy at first. But later, many people experience the crash, and that crash does not always feel physical. Sometimes it feels mental. Brain fog, slower thinking, trouble concentrating, feeling mentally drained in the middle of the day. Here's a simple way to think about it. Imagine pouring dirty fuel into a car engine every single day. The car may still run for a while, but slowly the system becomes less efficient, less smooth, less reliable. Your brain depends heavily on steady energy and proper nourishment. And when the body constantly swings between sugar spikes and crashes, mental sharpness can suffer too. Now, this does not mean you need a perfect diet overnight. Small improvements can matter. More water, a handful of nuts, fresh foods more often, fish a few times a week if possible. Tiny choices repeated daily may help support clearer thinking over time. But the next habit may be the quietest warning sign of them all. Most people never connect this to memory. Stress, not the loud kind. The silent kind people carry for years without talking about. Worrying about bills, health problems, losing sleep over family, caring for a spouse while feeling exhausted yourself, missing someone who is no longer here. Many older adults live with emotional pressure so constant that they barely notice it anymore. But the brain notices. Long-term stress can keep the mind stuck in a kind of survival mode, and when that happens, focus, clarity, and memory may begin to suffer little by little. Imagine leaving your car engine running all day long every day without rest. Eventually something begins wearing down. That's what emotional exhaustion can feel like inside the brain, and here's what makes this difficult. Many people blame themselves for getting forgetful, when in reality their mind may simply be overwhelmed. This is why small moments of calm matter more than they seem. A quiet walk, deep breathing for a few minutes, prayer, music, writing thoughts down before bed. Gentle moments where the brain finally feels safe enough to slow down. Because now, we arrive at the habit that quietly ties everything together. This is the habit that changes everything. Ignoring the early signals, because the real danger is often not the occasional forgotten name or misplaced keys. Most people experience that from time to time. The deeper problem begins when the small warning signs keep appearing and are repeatedly brushed aside as nothing. Let's go back to the beginning for a moment. The man standing in the kitchen holding his keys, unable to remember why he walked in. The woman pausing during a conversation because a familiar name suddenly disappeared. The afternoon mental fog, the exhaustion, the isolation, the sleepless nights. At first, those moments may seem unrelated, but now you can start to see the pattern. Memory changes often do not happen overnight. They can build slowly, quietly, through small daily habits repeated for years. Poor sleep may leave the brain exhausted. Too little movement may slow the body's delivery system. Isolation may reduce mental stimulation. Constant stress may overload the mind until it struggles to keep up. And when all of these patterns quietly stack together, the brain may begin sending subtle warning signs long before bigger problems appear. That's the part many people misunderstand. They wait until memory issues become frightening before paying attention. But the earlier signals may matter the most. A house rarely collapses overnight. Small cracks appear first, tiny shifts in the walls. Little warning signs people ignore because the structure still looks mostly fine. The brain can work the same way, and this is why paying attention early matters so much, not with fear, with awareness. One simple habit that may help is creating a small brain health check for yourself every week. Ask yourself, how has my sleep been? Am I moving enough? Have I spoken with people lately? Am I carrying too much stress alone? What kinds of foods have I been eating most often? These simple questions may reveal patterns you never noticed before, because sometimes the brain whispers before it ever screams, and this final truth may be the most important thing you hear today. Here's the truth I hope you remember after this video ends. Memory changes do not always mean your future is already decided, and that matters because many people over 60 quietly live in fear the moment they forget a name, lose their train of thought, or walk into a room and suddenly feel confused. They immediately wonder, is something wrong with me? But the brain is not a machine that suddenly breaks overnight. It responds to how we live, how we sleep, how we move, how we connect with others, how we handle stress, and in many cases, small daily habits can either slowly weaken the brain or slowly support it. That was the deeper meaning behind the warning signs we talked about earlier. They were never meant to scare you. They may be opportunities to notice changes early while there is still time to respond with care, attention, and healthier routines, because small daily habits can quietly harm the brain. But small daily changes may also help protect it. A short walk, better sleep, more conversation, less isolation, more nourishing food, a calmer mind. These things may seem simple, but simple does not mean powerless. So this week, try noticing just one habit in your own life, not with guilt, not with panic, just awareness. Maybe you start going to bed a little earlier. Maybe you call an old friend. Maybe you spend less time sitting. Maybe you finally pay attention to the stress you've been carrying alone. And if someone you love has been struggling with memory fog or mental fatigue, talk with them gently. Sometimes support begins with one honest conversation, because independence matters, clear thinking matters, and the ability to enjoy your everyday life for as long as possible truly matters. If this video helped you think differently about brain health after 60, share it with a parent, spouse, sibling, or friend who may need to hear this message too, and subscribe for more calm, practical, and encouraging health guidance designed especially for adults over 60.